You know, every time you stand up and sit down at church, that's worth 2 squats, remember. So thank you for letting us have count twice. Theodore Seuss Geisel, better known to the world as Dr. Seuss, author of beloved children's books, translated into over 15 languages around the world. At the time of his death in 1991, he had written and illustrated 44 stories. My favorite, Green Eggs and Ham, describes how Sam will not eat green eggs or ham in any location. I am Sam. Sam I am. Do we have the visual? Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm looking screen-wise. I'm learning all the time. Okay. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like green eggs and ham. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I could not, would not on a boat. I will not with a goat. I will not eat them in the rain. I will not eat them on a train. Not in the dark, not in a tree, not in a car. You let me be. I will not eat them in a house. I do not like them with a mouse. I do not like them here or there. You know the last. I do not like them anywhere. Why open with Dr. Seuss? Because there is just something about stories in plain and simple language and plain and simple terms. And you get it, you get it, you get it. And I'm also sure that you have heard the phrase location, location, location. It turns out it's also a thing in the Gospels. This week's Gospel is familiar to us, but from a different location. We're familiar with Matthew's interpretation, the Sermon on the Mount. But this morning, in the version from Luke, we come down off of the mountain of theological language to speak plainly, speaking philosophical ideals into a very practical theology. So Luke's Sermon on the Mount, or Sermon on the Plain, is less familiar. See, I went into the Sermon on the Mount because that's what we always talk about. It's strikingly similar to the Mount. Both sermons are placed in the narrative after the calling of the disciples and before entering Capernaum to heal the centurion's servant. They both start with the Beatitudes about loving others, judging, and knowing a tree by its fruit. In Matthew, Jesus begins with 8 blessings. In Luke, Jesus begins with 4 blessings and 4 curses. So Luke's Sermon on the Plain occurs as Jesus descends the mountain. After praying all night, we read, he came down with them, stood on a level place with great multitudes. They had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. So I'm always interested at times to learn what people hear from meditations or sermons. Sometimes I'm greatly pleased by what is reported. Sometimes different people experience a different sermon with a different message than intended. Sometimes people repeat words back to me verbatim. Sometimes it's close. Sometimes the Spirit moves. It moves in ways that are surprising, helping people to hear exactly what they need to hear. Maybe something I never said, but they feel the presence of God in mysterious ways, and I'm thankful. So this morning, some parts of the Mount and the Plain may prick your interest. Some may make you wonder. Some aspects of Jesus' words may actually offend you. Years ago, I worked for a psychiatric facility for children in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And the kids were so bad that the parents had to sign over custody to us. And they were so good at being bad, you had to admire their ingenuity, their intelligence. In fact, there were times that I wanted to say, but I couldn't, that was so smart. Gosh, that was so smart. But you know you can't do that. One of the therapists described his support of a household of young boys as we kick them and we soothe them. We tell them, no, you can't do that, and then we soothe them as they learn and stretch into becoming something new, affirming what they're learning and demonstrating what they're learning in new ways. So from Jesus' message on the plane this morning, the question becomes, what do we need to hear? Kicking or soothing? Do we need the comfort or not so gentle reminders? So imagine visiting a foreign country with customs and traditions different from our own. Imagine that our visit has an important purpose for the good of many, perhaps a treaty negotiation or a trade deal. And wanting to make the best impression possible, we learn the language, we learn the customs to avoid creating offense. And to prepare, we would need a travel guide, or maybe we need to take a class about their customs and traditions. If a culture does not like green eggs and ham, you don't like green eggs and ham anywhere. So in the same way, Jesus' teachings are much like an earthly tour guide, preparing us for life in heaven, teaching us how to create heaven on earth. And we're asked to listen carefully, to learn the rules. Jesus' guidebook on the plane describes a seeming reversal of what we see on earth. And he describes a world of heavenly love where things are a little bit backwards, where the rules are the opposite of what we might expect. So how many of us have ever played the game Uno? Yeah, okay. It's a card game where to keep the play moving, you need to play the same color of the last card, such as green, blue, yellow, red. But you can also change the play by playing the last number. So you can play a red 5 on a blue 5, as long as you're playing the 5. And if you don't have the right card to play, well, you have to keep drawing the cards until you can play a color or a number. And if you see that little machine in the bottom corner, if you have to push that button, you don't know if you're going to get 1 card or 5. Peace be upon you. I love that machine. You never know what you're going to get. And you got to love that whirl of the machine. And just to add one more challenge to Uno, the fun option is to plunk down 1 card that messes everything up. The reverse card. If the reverse card is played, if you were moving clockwise, nope, Shazam, you have to go opposite, counterclockwise. You've all experienced this, right? And you go, no. The reverse card is the option that changes the game for every participant. Skipping an opportunity to play a card that might put you in the lead. It reverses the card to put the lead into someone else's hands, changing the stakes of the game. So the Uno reverse card has started to become a meme, a metaphorical meme for a comeback or a dose of karma or a change of events. I liken Jesus' Sermon on the Plain to teaching how to create heaven on earth by naming the seeming reversal of God's thoughts and our thoughts, God's ways and our ways. Coincidentally, there are 4 different color reverse cards, and Jesus shares 4 blessings upon the downhearted and those with woes. So, Jesus' reverse card number 1 has to do with wealth. We live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but there's often a wide gap between the needs and the wants. Many struggle with frustration and anxiety. Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven, but woe to the rich, for you have received your consolation. Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once wrote, "I walked into a spectacular cathedral surrounded by stained glass. I watched the priest, dressed in silk robes, open a Bible with gold edging and read, 'If anyone wants to be my disciple, let them sell their possessions, give away their money, and come and follow me.'" Kierkegaard said, "I looked around and no one was laughing." Now, Jesus here does not say, sell everything and give everything away. But instead, there's the understanding, the teaching that wealth can be a blessing or a woe. It can bring us joy and it can put us in conflict. And the emphasis is on reversal that encourages those who might be suffering. The emphasis is about growing in our generosity, that we may not be possessed by our possessions, but receive the consolation. We are to share the comforts and support for those to create heaven on earth. The second reversal message Jesus teaches is on hunger. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. It's amazing how we can be so fixated on food. We go to the grocery store and we see low carb. And we can't go to the grocery store without seeing high protein, trans fats. And we're supposed to eat to live, but sometimes we live to eat. And few of us know real hunger, but there are many different ways to be hungry in body, mind, and spirit. And this passage isn't about the food, but it's the good news that God sees our hunger and wants to feed us in body, mind, and spirit. Beware of those who feel full, Jesus says. May we not look down or judge those who are hungry or without. There's a chance that we may ourselves be vulnerable. We're cautioned to be aware of another's vulnerability and experience as it is our own, treating our neighbors as ourselves. The third reversal lesson teaches laughing and weeping. Blessed are you who weep, for you will laugh. Woe to you who are laughing, for you will mourn and weep. Sometimes the most broken-hearted people walk around with smiles. People don't know how much pain they're in. We might say, well, how are you? Fine. But they're not. Maybe you're not. Others may have wonderful lives, happy marriages, happy children, beautiful homes, but they walk around with their heads hanging, feeling sad, not fully appreciating what is had. And sometimes our emotions may fluctuate and wax and wane. In great compassion, Jesus offers hope to those who are weeping, sharing good news that there will be laughter again. The promise of joyful laughter suggests a restoration of that which was lost. Most importantly, we are to rejoice with those who are rejoicing, to sit to be with, to have empathy, to spend time in comfort and rejoicing, in the weeping and caring for our neighbors as we would want to be treated in times of struggle and rejoicing ourselves. The fourth Uno card, the fourth reverse. If people hate you, shut you out, drag your name through the mud because of your association with me, you're in great company. Sing, dance, celebrate. Jesus had already experienced a series of conflicts with religious authorities as well as persecution at the time of this teaching. And there are times when we experience the persecution of someone needing to feel powerful out of experiences of their own trauma by putting someone down. There's times that we would gladly be willing to receive anyone who tells us what perhaps we want to hear. Are we ready to hear the messages that perhaps that we don't, for our highest good and growth for our community, that we might create heaven on earth, peace among all? So the question becomes, we have a handful of cards. Are we playing our heaven and earth cards? Are we playing those reversal messages? How do we know? We know because people will attack us for quoting Jesus' teaching. We will be criticized for proclaiming the messages of the prophets, because we will be accused of being too generous, too kind to the hungry, too empathetic for those who are hurting, too weak, stupid, gullible, for caring for all of God's people and treating them as equals. So speaking on a plane 2,000 years ago, Jesus spoke in plain terms to a variety of people from a variety of regions and walks in life. And I sense if Jesus came back today, he would share, I am Jesus. Jesus, I am. I am who I am. Do you like to learn and grow? Would you like to learn here or there? Would you like to learn anywhere? I could teach you in a boat. I could teach you while doing yoga with a goat. I could teach you in the rain. I could teach you on a train. I could teach you in a tree. I could teach you how heaven wants you to be. I could teach you in a house. I could teach you over Zoom with a mouse. I could teach you here or there. I could teach you anywhere. Have you been called weak, stupid, unintelligent, gullible for caring for all of God's people lately? Have you been attacked for treating your neighbor as yourself? Congratulations. Congratulations. Sing and celebrate. Be not moved. Do not be moved. You have been playing Jesus' reversal cards. Luke reminds us, everyone in the crowd, seeing Jesus, the prophet, the teacher, the healer, and possible Christ, was trying to touch him, for the power came out from him, and all of them were healed. May you be touched and healed by the power of the risen Christ, to be the reversal card to many, bringing heaven on earth to those needing divine messages and experiences of hope and compassion. May you be empowered to extend heaven on earth in an extravagant welcome, so that no matter who you are, where you are in the journey of faith, everyone, everywhere will be welcome. And all of God's people singing and dancing and celebrating, being reviled for actually following the teachings of Christ. All said, Amen.